Charlie, today I have to find my moderating skills, pal. Otherwise, I'll be dead. 3-5 happen. Anyway, this morning we're going to be discussing an African story relative to the crisis in Africa, and you do know that there's been some foreign aid freeze, which obviously has raised some fears of renewed AIDS crisis in Africa. 10% pay rise for government workers, minimum wage now 19.97 from 18 to 19.97. Some economists are advancing the argument that we can actually take it to 30 cities. I mean, it won't hurt a fly. So why are we still hovering around the 18s and the 19s? Hopefully, before the end of the term of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it will be hovering maybe around 25 cities to 30 cities. That will make us very, very happy. Baumia Jabs Mahama over public sector dismissals. National Service Authority payroll saga, Mustafa Yusuf, CB entry rubbish allegations. These are the topics that we've tabled for our conversation this morning. Hopefully, we'll be able to discuss all of them. But most importantly, let's go to the issue relative to the freeze on foreign aid. And let me respectfully remind the viewers that we are streaming live on our Facebook page, which is Pan African Television on Facebook. I was also on YouTube, Pan African Television. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, it's at Kwame Owusu D. Kwame Owusu D on X. So kindly follow me on X. Let's have. You can also share your views via my X page or Twitter platform, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at Kwame Owusu Danso. All right, let me kickstart the conversation with Honorable Abi Efuseni. But before then, let me just read a little bit of a story. Concerns are rising in Africa about a potential resurgence of the devastating AIDS crisis that once claimed millions of lives across the continent. Florence Makumeni, a 53-year-old from Zimbabwe, witnessed the tragic toll of HIV on her beloved ones who faced a diagnosis that was often seen as a death sentence. However, when she tested positive in 2016, her story took a different turn thanks to a community initiative supported by the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which ensured she received essential treatment. Since its inception in 2003, PEPFAR has been credited with saving over 26 million lives and significantly altering the global landscape of AIDS. However, following a 90-day freeze on foreign aid ordered by former U.S. President and current President Donald Trump, the vital program has come to a standstill. In Africa, the consequences have been dire, with thousands of U.S.-funded health workers losing their jobs and clinics shutting down, leading to diminished access to HIV testing and treatment services. Health officials and experts across the continent are urgently calling for the resumption of PEPFAR, fearing that the dismantling of these essential services could set back progress by decades if the American government doesn't reconsider and uphold its leadership. Lives will be lost, warned Winnie Banyima, Executive Director of the United Nations AIDS Program. So, Honorable, let me start with you. My question is, why have we waited? Why don't we, as Africans, also begin to develop our own drugs to curb this menace? Why are we always relying on foreign aids and things like that to deal with our own internal matters?
Thank you very much. Kwame, before I make the courtesies, extend my courtesies, there is a popular saying that if you have your mouth in somebody else's kitchen, you cannot accept your independence and freedom. When your hand is in somebody's mouth, you dare not hit his head. Kwame, let me say a good morning to your good self. Welcome back again. Since last week, I'm sure we had a very good discussion.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure we'll drink from the deep-seated fountain of wisdom, part of which you acquired during your sojourn as a running mate to the Honorable Alan Chiramantin, presidential candidate of the Afafranto fraternity.
Yeah, movement for change. Yes. Ghana will rise again.
Yes. I salute you and the efforts that you made.
Thank you.
My brother Ramsey, very vibrant young man with very great ideas. I hope and pray, and I have always said it, and I made an appeal to His Excellency President Mahama to endeavor to tap talents from outside the NDC, especially in this very critical period, Kwame, and I'm sure we'll be coming to that discussion. Kwame, our nation was almost virtually destroyed. The economy sank to unprecedented lows, and I'm sure that we need every expertise and talent that we can get to help rescue this country. And I want to believe that His Excellency President Mahama would be open enough to tap all these talents for us to move forward. My brother Sabo, welcome back. He's having another taste in opposition, and I'm sure that for all the decisions that they did, that they push him back to the doldrums, they will begin to reason and see the wisdom for not pushing some of them better than they did. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
You see, if you make your son a monster, you'll be among the first to be devoured. It's not for nothing that people say that elections have consequences. The election of Donald J. Trump, undoubtedly is one of the most far-reaching, epoch-making events in our political history in this, I would dare say, this decade. Kwame, those who understand the ideology of Trumpism, that's what some people want to say, is that it is built on an isolationist, inward-looking American value of America first. So the MAGA, that is Make America Great Again, which Donald Trump espouses all the time, is to consider the United States as an entity whose interests and fundamental aspirations must pervade all transactions. And by that, it also means that the especially American business interest, the money-making instinct of the billionaires of the US must prevail at all times, not irrespective of the situation. And Kwame, I'm sure you have even heard that President Trump has told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that he should better keep quiet and stop talking about this and go and sign the minerals deal. America wants to take over the minerals and others of Ukraine. You know, under Biden there was no such thing, but now it is a matter of crucial importance for the US to take hold of the Ukrainian minerals. Notwithstanding the fact that this is a country that is fighting a war and is under those conditions dependent on others for it. So clearly, today, under the aegis of MAGA, that is Make America Great Again, the United States is placing the sole interest. Hitherto, you used to have a complementarity. America striking a partnership, global partnership with others in the world to run affairs. So in that one, America used aid as an instrument of its foreign policy to make sure that they will build allies and friends and others and help ensure the maintenance of the current world order. The current world order, which is ordered by the West, its preservation is seen as crucial to the existence of the West and its dominance of global issues and events. And so clearly, this is how it had played out. But today, President Trump is rolling back virtually the key planks of that complementarity policy that the U.S. pursued, to the point that important instruments of America's foreign policy and aid is the U.S. aid, which today And Kwame, let's put it in the proper context. He has appointed a new czar in the name of Elon Musk.
Yeah, Dodge.
Is it Musk or Musk?
Musk.
Musk. Under the caption of ensuring government efficiency.
Yeah.
And that targets American institutions where they say they euphemistically label it as waste. So giving money and others as foreign aid to other countries to seek that collaboration and universal compliance with the dictates of the new order is waste. And so US aid has been targeted by Elon Musk as an area where they should cut costs. And in cutting the costs, they are almost rolling down the operations of US aid across the length and breadth of the world. And Kwame, you are aware what work the US aid does in many countries, including our own. It is, you have mentioned already the support for the fight against HIV AIDS, other development programs for critically deprived communities and others, helping to get very good drinking water in some areas, and some of those the like. So it is not only the cutback of this program. Kwame, Americans employed in these institutions for all these years are losing their jobs. They did not only furlough some of them, but some of them are outrightly been dismissed. I was even watching a CNN program in which they said that even now he's going to descend on the military. Some of the generals and others and top ranking military people who they say their positions are redundant, which they'll declare them redundant and let them go home. It's far, far reaching, Kwame. And that for me is where the world is going. Today, America is in arms with fundamentally almost all its allies. Europe is gnashing its teeth after the bitter pill they've had to swallow recently over Ukraine, where President Trump has gone to try and do a deal with President Putin to end the war in Ukraine without the participation of the Europeans.
Yep.
They have been not only snubbed, they have been sidelined. And I think that Europe is sitting with anger over how it had started, considering how they had collaborated with the Biden administration and had very good working relationship, and now is almost in tatters. And this is also even trying to have an effect on even the supreme organization of the West, that is NATO. It's creating even tensions within NATO, where President Trump has made it very clear that America will not continue to throw its billions of dollars on NATO to defend Europe, and that the Europeans must themselves contribute more to their own defense. So it is part of the MAGA ideal that American resources must be kept inside America to satisfy Americans. And Kwame, will you quarrel if somebody tells you that Ghanaian resources should be kept in Ghana to satisfy Ghanaians?
No.
On the surface of it, it looks attractive, even though we are living in a globalized world where all of us know that your welfare is a function of my welfare, and so we need to work together to create a sustainable basis for us to have a collective well-being policy. But that is not what the Republicans now and the Trump think. Their decision is that it's America first, and you roll back any other program that they consider as wasteful. And so, Kwame, I regrettable as I will see that policy in the light of global interactions and others, I still see it as within the purview of the president to so do. He was elected to pursue the well-being of the American people, and if in his wisdom he thinks that that is it. So even though I disagree in many instances with some of the key plans of that policy, but Kwame, it brings back to us a question. You see, if you sell yourself for halfpenny, they'll buy you for nothing. Africans and many of us in the developed world have sold ourselves short Kwame, we have so become so aid dependent that we don't seek to think and do things for ourselves. To begin to realize that our salvation lies in our own hands. Like the legendary founder of this nation, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, said, that we prefer self-government in danger to servitude in tranquility. That the African is capable of managing his own affairs. And so, if we have come of age that we should manage our own affairs, Kwame, why have we so much slipped into such levels of precarious dependence that today we can barely survive without foreign aid? That is highly dangerous and unthinkable. And so, for me, things like this should serve as a wake-up call. Kwame, I have read wide on matters of international development. And look, in one of the stages, we're told that we can do more than tenfold. If Africa, more than tenfold the aid that Africa gets. If Africans just trade among themselves. If we cut on dependence on aid and increase trade, so not aid, trade amongst African nations, Kwame, we can. This aid would be a small infinitesimal amount. But we prefer to still tie our aprons to either the colonial or imperialist authorities and forget about the fraternity and the bonds of good neighborliness and economic benefits we can extract if we trade more amongst ourselves. So the free trade, African free trade thing we did recently is a good thing. The problem is giving it the requisite level of commitment to let it realize the noble objectives of which it was founded. That for me is the Philip.
Right.
That is the thing we must do.
Okay.
So Kwame,
yes, sir.
We should not be crying about America withdrawing its aid. It's in their national interest to do.
All right.
And if they do that, it is up to us, in responding to that, to wake up, Kwame, and begin to do things for ourselves. Our leaders.
Thank you.
The biggest problem, like I've said, in a lot of the instances, has been leadership. Because Allah Almighty, in His infinite wisdom, has given Africa the requisite level of resources. Kwame, I've said it time without number. That the paradox facing our African leaders is that how can Africa, the richest continent on the face of the earth, parade the poorest people? Kwame, you are sitting on a gold mine and complaining of poverty. You are roasting meat and your mouth is dry. You are living by the banks of a river and washing your hands with spittle. You have to spit to wash your hand, and the river is flowing by you. Kwame, what sort of people are we?
Thank you.
So I think that for me, yes, like I said, I myself, if we were to sit here to discuss American foreign policy and the Trump administration, there are many things I can say which would show my open disagreement.
To come to the military bases across the
exactly.
The
So for me, he is doing what he wants to do for his American people. What are we doing for our own people?
That
for me is the reaction that we should be having more.
That's the African
even
question.
Though in the immediate aftermath, it is going to create a lot of difficulties and added because we are already not prepared for this.
All right.
And resources had not been allocated.
All right.
But I want to salute His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. He had already instructed his finance minister, the venerable and competent Atu Forson, to take steps to make sure that that gap is closed. And he has already done something in that respect.
All right. Thank you very much.
To build those buffets and others.
Thank you.
To get us to there. But I begin to see that on a wider continental basis, Kwame, the idea that Osagyefo espoused of the monolithic African continental unity is an answer to, is a panacea to this woes.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Let me bring in Sabo at this moment. Sabo.
Thank you, Kwame. Let him take this opportunity to say good morning to my elder brother, Alhaji ABF Sede, whom I'm patiently waiting to hear his name on the list of appointment by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And then good morning. He's my slave. Yes, I can sell him at any point in time.
I'm willing to buy.
Yes, in fact, the proud son of
it's a mushy boy. So
my good friend, the late Alhaji Inusa, the one time our national campaign manager. In fact, I think 1996. Yes, 1996 and 2000.
Oh, that's his father.
Yes.
So okay, so he's a deviant.
No, I'll come to that. Don't mind. I'll come to that. Kwame, your good self. I'm very proud of you, frankly speaking. Had it been somebody who would say that, oh, I don't think I'm now, I will not even come here again. Where I've reached there, I have to move on and the rest. Yeah. But you've actually indicated that you are such a very humble person.
Thank you.
And you will go far.
Thank you.
Inshallah. Of course. And then, my warmest greetings to our cherished viewers.
Especially the old ladies who watch you a lot. Remember I told you the last time?
Yeah.
I met a woman and say, hey, what's his name? The fair, handsome man. Oh, Samuel. Hey, Samuel is troublesome.
you said old lady, eh?
Yeah.
In Tamale, there's a place that I know, Steve Wagner. An old lady saw me there, wanted to beat me because of my life.
I think the old ladies have a problem with you.
She wanted to beat me because of my elder brother. Now I've been disturbing him too much. So she's been looking for me all this while.
She wanted to beat you with a walking stick, eh?
It's so easy. In fact, they have to play on my behalf. And even told her that I'm also her son. And before she agreed. Yes. In fact, Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Me, in fact, had it been me, I wouldn't have liked to talk much about this US 18. Like my elder brother rightly put it. I think, well, let me also take the opportunity to commend His Excellency John Dramani Mahama with the kind of appointment he has done so far.
Yeah.
In fact, we party adherents are actually proud of the way he has gone. This is what we've been expecting, that every political party, when you come into power, look at those who actually did the work, those who shouldered the party to victory. I believe it will go a long way to motivate the younger generation to say that this is a party that we should all be dying for. And so I was not surprised the way the NDC was ready to do anything to clinch on to power and the rest. And if care is not taken, if we do not sit up as a party and then look at things very well,
the wrongs and the rights.
Yes, it is going to be tough for us because they seem to be motivating the grassroots and the rest. But I know that the leadership of our party, are already working towards that even before his appointment, started coming.
Okay.
You can see that we have a committee going around to check on what actually happened and the rest. And I know they'll come out with the facts and the right thing will be done the next time round, inshallah. Yes, Kwame, hadn't been me, frankly speaking, the US aid issue, I don't have one to talk. If you know me, I am somebody who normally don't like the way US is handling African things and the rest. If you go and read about history and then our relationship with the US and the rest, to me, I stand to be corrected. Africa has not gained that much from US. In fact, what US gained from Africa is far, 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 far higher than what Africa is gaining from the United States. So our relationship, it is not a mutual one. It is more or less like parasitic or commensal relationship in a way. So for me, I would say that their withdrawal and Ghana, where we are, may God forbid, we don't take that much from the US aid as compared to other countries like Ethiopia, like Sudan, like Congo, because I'm told Congo alone, last year alone, they had about 1.3 billion US dollars from the United States as aid and the rest. So if you check, mostly it is areas that there are conflicts and the rest that they normally concentrate to make sure, except that in health-wise, here, I think guinea worm, they did their best in the northern region to eradicate guinea worm in the northern region. And then some other farming communities, that sometimes they go into provide good drinking water and other things. But having said that, of course, if you just oppose it to what they also get from us as a country, I don't think we stand to lose much if they are going to withdraw the other thing. And besides that, we need to also work towards self-sufficiency to make sure that there are certain basic things like potable drinking water, good road networks, and then what do you call it, places of convenience and other things. I mean, it shouldn't be something that the rural folks will be struggling for. I mean, all these things should be found within our rural communities and the rest. And I believe with these things, I don't think we'll need this aid that bad. Well, but I wish them well. Well, of course, like my other brother was saying, he's also trying to make sure that his country is well grounded, and then also, because they themselves, they are also being swallowed with debt and other things, and then they are struggling. The only advantage they have over us as African countries is that our debt, we normally get it in, get it in dollars, and we pay it in dollars. But unfortunately for them, the dollar, is yes. So it is easier dealing with debt than the way we deal with debt and other things. So I think I wish that our African leaders well. And I believe AU and then ECOWAS will also sit down to see how best they can calibrate their, economic activities to make sure that this thing wouldn't be a problem in future budgets.
Very well. Doc. Yes, sir.
Good morning to you.
Morning.
Let me say good morning to my elderly brothers here. Alaji Sabo, who very soon I'll be taken to Kavli to tie him up. And Honorable ABF will follow. I can sleep in Kavli. I can sleep and wake up strong. In fact, I'm just coming from Kavli.
I'm sure after this, I'll maybe go out and I accept your challenge and get an air ticket. Not
What is Kavli? Big bro, don't follow me. Let out the phone.
There's a history of some area in Tamale. Just near the King David, King David, that area.
Yeah.
It's Kamvli, just on the other, that place Kamvli. The history of the Moshis settling there and getting vanquished on a daily basis. So it was regarded as some taboo that happened in that area.
Oh.
So if you are sending a Moshi man to there, they don't want the son to send.
Even with $1 million.
Give them some lavish accommodation there. I will never see that.
I see.
So what I'll do for them.
Okay. Hey, so I
know the Bombers and Moshis, it's like the son, a male son and a female son. So a female daughter. So that's the relationship between us from the same.
We are tribal playmates.
Oh, I see.
Yes. But they are my slaves on the record. Anyway, let me say good morning to the good people of Ghana. Najuma Mubarak, to my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. And let me take this opportunity to also thank my stylist, Multi Express, Mr. Farouk. He's doing a great job. And I thank him so much for that.
I'll give you the invoice after.
Yes. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
We've had a long journey.
I'm telling you.
And I've been very proud of the impact you've had on the movement for change. And we are ever grateful to you, Kwame.
Thank you.
You see, Kwame, when it comes to foreign aid, I have always had a very Pan-Africanist stance on foreign aid. Because when you look at the data between trade with the West alone, Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa imports $421.5 billion worth of goods from the West alone. And so it should tell you that we are not poor. Technically, even with our economic vulnerabilities and shortfalls, we are not poor. And there's a huge deficit in trade between we and the West. And the last data in terms of trade Africa received from the West was about $59.7 billion. $59.7 billion. I mean, compare that to the amount of goods we import from them. So who is benefiting technically? It's just like filing your tax return. To them, that is it. They're just giving us, after they take the profit and some is left and they don't know what to do with it, they just support us. But of course, there are a lot of scholarly arguments about it. Foreign aid, as we've seen over the years, has been used to manipulate our political landscape in Africa by the West to instill certain policies that do not favor us, and also placing leaders that are puppets to the West. I mean, it was shocking to even hear that at some point in time, US aid was used to finance ISIS. And there was a revelation like that in the Middle East, you know. And Kwame, you know, I've always said that until the leaders of Africa rise, think through the current contemporary geopolitical landscape of the world and the ability of them to be able to see through the agenda of the imperialists, we would not be able to break away from the shackles of the imperialists. Kwame, Africa, as scholars would call it, the paradox of plenty. Africa is home to the world's most richest countries, right? It's the world's most richest continent, but home to the poorest people. And as Bob Marley said in this song, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. I do not think that we seated here, some of us have got very good ideas, including our leader, Honorable Alan Kojo Mantane. I do not think that we are foolish or we are stupid, but it's because of the system, the political system that has been created around the governance of Africa that has created all these issues. Today, Ghana is going to lose about $156 million from the withdrawal of US aid. Now, Kwame, you ask yourself, go and look at the mining contracts that has been signed by our governments and different various regimes in this country. If we are able to renegotiate these mineral agreements, Kwame, we will rake in billions of dollars that can even pay our debt. If we're able to create policies, and I've always said this, that we have a lot of natural resource endowment, but today, Kwame, if your gold, you want to sell your gold in the international market, it is determined by the world market price of the West. LME, the London Metal Exchange. But you ask yourself, South Africa is home to one Africa's largest gold reserve and one of the world's largest mines than the UK. But the UK will sit down there and determine how much you sell your gold for. That has to change. And we need a radical policy shift in the African Union to ensure that going forward, we have an African market, right, that can determine the prices of minerals that are sold in the international market, rather than being dictated by the West. Kwame, and this whole destitution that is faced by our people is a deliberate attempt by the West to ensure that they grow economically. Imagine if we have the technology, we have the erudition to add more value to our resources, to process our resources. Are we going to import from the West?
Yeah.
We're not going to import. We're not going to buy the TVs, the cameras, the telephones, name them, the medication. We're not going to buy it.
Yeah. And
technically they will lose on the other hand. And so I think that the current architecture of the West's foreign policy is an imperialist agenda to ensure that our people are still coupled with destitution, and that we do not progress economically but regress, and to their advantage. And so I hope that African leaders will come together to strengthen the African Union so that we can be able to put in policies to protect the Africans, the Africa's interests, right? And ensure economic development in our region. China has done that.
Yeah.
The Chinese under Mao Zedong underwent a revolution. They closed their country and built it inwards. And now they built it from inside and then out. Yeah. Today China is home to now one of the largest middle class and very affluent society. The world's second largest economy, and even debatable. People are saying is almost now the first, surpassing the US. But these are people that we need to learn from. Because they were once destituted, Kwame. They were once destituted. But through determination and policy shift that safeguard their interests, and of course, patriotic leadership. Today, the leaders that we have in Africa are not patriotic. They do not care about the people. They care rather about their pockets and how much they can be able to siphon from the country. And let me give you a data, Kwame.
Tell me.
From 1980 to 2009, Africa has lost $1.4 trillion due to illicit flow of monies through money laundering. 1.4 trillion. Kwame, can you imagine what this money could have been used for? 1980 to 2009, we've lost $1.4 trillion from illicit.
So this is just to 2009.
Yes, just 2009. I have.
So it means
can you imagine
the current data?
Current data.
That would be serious.
Can you imagine? And so, Kwame, I hope that African leaders, and of course our people, we need to change the mindset. You know, today we sit as Africans and there's no sense of Pan-Africanism, you know, it's not there. That spirit of Pan-Africanism is not there. And we want to charter that path to unite Africa. You understand? And I believe that collectively, if we're able to unite, Kwame, we will defeat the imperialists. Look at what is happening in Congo today. Do you know that Congo today is the cynosure of the fourth industrial revolution?
Yep.
The fourth industrial revolution, right? The backbone of the fourth industrial revolution is Congo because of cobalt. They have 90% of the world's cobalt reserve. And all these countries that are championing the fourth industrial revolution need it. And so can you imagine if there was a policy shift that Congo says they are not going to export the cobalt, but they'll process it locally? Congo would be, I'm telling you, if not part of the 10 largest economies in the world by that policy shift. And so we want to see some policy shifts in the way we deal with the West. Their aid, again, hasn't contributed significantly to our economic development. It has rather regressed us as a people. And it's time that African leaders need to rethink and reorient their policies to be able to alleviate the sufferings of the African people and ensure that prosperity is seen in the various lands of Africa.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsey Inusa. You're still watching the News Per Review segment here on Pan-African Television. My name is Kwame Usudan. So, very deep conversations here. Now, let's come back to Ghana. I think that in part, my panelists have sought to pry into the other areas, the other topics, by bringing them into their own narratives. 10% rise for government workers, minimum wage now 19.97 Ghana cedis. My initial reaction was we could do better, albeit this is a snail-paced growth, but I think that we can actually do better, you know, in terms of our minimum wage. People are advocating for between 25 to 30% at the very least, 30 cedis, 25 cedis to 30 cedis at the very least. This is some progress, but an infinitesimal progress. Of course, though commendable, but we could actually do better. 10% pay rise for government workers. Of course, they went into a meeting with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. They've come to some consensus. John Mahama has made a promise to them that when the economy begins to grow, he will come back and have the conversation with them again. Bear in mind that he's the only president in the fourth Republican dispensation who has found the need to sit with Labour in arriving at some definitive conclusion. And I do recall that I was having a discussion with Amma, and I was telling Amma that, look, sometimes it's not even about the 10% or the 15%, it's about how you speak to them. You know, somebody you may be always somebody, but your demeanor, your candor, you know, your disposition will make the person agree or disagree. So it's not just about the money, it's about how you also conduct yourself. But let me respectfully start with you, Sabo, on this one. Let's look at the whole economic outlook of Ghana. In terms of the performance of our CD, in terms of the GDP, I've heard Dr. Stephen Amwa opine that at the time they were leaving government, you know, debt to GDP was at a very sustainable level, was at sustainable levels. Inflation was at sustainable levels, and they are of the firm conviction that they did what they needed to do to keep the economy afloat. Of course, there have been some disagreements from the quarters of the NDC. They are in power now. They have been seized with maybe their facts, the data, which speaks differently from what has been put forward by the now minority. So let's look at all of that and how that finds expression in, for instance, the minimum wage, in, for instance, the discussions with Labour and the performance of the city, respectfully.
Thank you, Kwame. I think myself, I was shocked when I heard the percentage increase that the president gave to the public sector workers. If you agree with me, I also heard him say that we criminally manage the economy. It's a new word that I don't know which of the books that we can find that word. And I let to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he has not come to explain himself very well. Maybe if he gets the opportunity, we'll let us understand what he meant by we criminally managing the economy. And he has all the powers. In the first place, Kwame, let's ask ourselves that the Dogombes, we have a proverb that if you stumble and fall, you don't normally take cognizance of where you fell, but you should rather look at where you stumble. In other words, how do we get to this stage? Kwame, if you remember, in 2017, when we took over from John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, up to the time that we handed over to John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, the MPP government, with regard to economic indicators and performance on the open market, regardless of COVID-19 and the Ukraine war, did far better than John Dramani Mahama's government. The figures are there for all of us to go through. Fortunately today, I've been saying it always, we have Android phones. Even the viewers there, you cannot fool them. Immediately you say no, he'll pick his phone and then try to cross-check the figures. What was the growth rate of the GDP? It was 3.4. At what rate did we hand over now? Of course, it was 2000, in fact, 2003, it was 7.2. And then 2004, the growth rate was targeted at 6.3. 6.3. Mm-hmm. But today, as we speak, I hope you are getting me.
Yeah.
Compared to 2017 or 16, where it was 3.4. So that one clearly, of course, with all these problems, MPP outperformed NDC. NPP government outperformed NDC. Kwame, quite apart from that too, you also have international reserve as we speak. Of course, NDC, as at that time, handed over I think 6.2 billion to us. We handed over 9 billion. Which means if you are going to look at this and how long it will take us, and this one will take us about 3.5 months in that way, or yes, or 3 closer to half, and half months. But MPP's one, I think it will take us 4 months. That one too, with even all these crises, we did better than the NDC. In fact, Kwame, all the macroeconomic indicators, and even the debt to GDP that they are even talking about, with the debt restructuring lesson, you agree with me that we're able to move it from 79 to around 4%. So I don't know what actually prompted him to give this minimal increment to our public sector workers. Of course, Nana Akufo-Addo's government gave 30% increment. In 2023 alone, I think he gave around 20, if I last time to quarter, let me check my figures, 23% increment from January to June. 23%. That's from January 2023 to June, 2024. And then from there to, he gave another, 25% from July to December 2024. And we are giving single numbers. I don't know, with all the promises that you made and the rest. Of course, Medofra that he has done to the public sector workers. Because he made them agree that their present condition is bad. When he comes, he will make it better. He will improve upon the others. That is where they have landed us. Because Kwame, I think, although I'm no more in the public service, but of course, I am still a registered member of NAT and the rest, of course. And then in Islam, the Prophet Muhammad once said that when one part of a body is affected, the whole body is affected. Although I don't receive salary, but I can feel the pain of my colleagues. This is where we are today. The same John Dramani Mahama, when he was going around campaigning, he promised Ghanaians that all those who were employed by this government, when he comes, he will not touch any of them. However, he would rather create more space to employ more. What is happening today? Look at the number of people that have been asked to go home. In fact, Kwame, among them, there's no any Togolese, there's no any Ivorian, no Burkinabe, no Nigerian. They are all Ghanaians. In fact, people who have also contributed to the development of this country, either by their parents, by extension, they themselves, their communities. I mean, simply put it, they are legitimate Ghanaians. And they legitimately acquired those jobs. You see, Kwame, I don't believe in this. That if yesterday you stepped on my toe and I felt very bad about it and castigated you for doing that, tomorrow when I have the opportunity, I should also step on your toes. I don't believe in those things at all. But if you want to apply the boomerang theory in our governance system, then I don't think we'll go anywhere. We'll always be where we find ourselves. Because if you push me and I go and fall there and then come back and do not make any move, when you also take the same position, I also push you. And where do we go? So let's even assume without admitting that the MPP government did same as they are alleging. And they criticize the MPP government. Today, what has changed? That they are also doing the same thing. Does it mean that what the NPP government did is good? Is that what the president is telling us? So me, Kwame, if you look at every sphere, even balance of payment, balance of trade, in fact, all of them, the figures are there. NPP perform far better than the NDC. With even, what do you call it, COVID and Ukraine war, Dumso were able to keep the lights on 24/7 up to the time that we handed over. Yesterday alone, in fact, I didn't come to town, by my area. From around 12, the lights went off and came around 7. I think I was praying Isha prayers around 7 something. And that is what has been going on. Right now, I'm not in the house, but I will not be surprised when I call home, they'll say there's no light. Where are we witnessing? How far have we gone? When they were even handed over, John Junapo earlier on came to say that what we have handed over, in fact, the light will not even, it will not, the fuel that we have left behind will not take us up to this. And then later on, he can say, oh, he didn't mean listen. He was actually referring to they have another fuel with something, HFO. That's what he was referring to. Where has the journey even started? The Dogumbes have a proverb. Viewers should forgive me. That the beginning of a scrotum, that you know that it will be big. And that is exactly what is happening. We don't need to be told what is ahead of us.
People are saying that the message, the data that the government was putting out were massaged figures.
Which one? But they should come out with the correct figures. Are they trying to say that what statistical service and they themselves were even following and even clapping and the rest? Today they are wrong figures. Is it the government who put these figures out? There's no statistical service. Does government normally come out with our economic descent? We obtain it from the Ghana Statistical Service. Are they still not under this government? They should go there and check and then give out the correct figures. It's as simple as that.
So to you are not happy with the 10% increment?
No, at all. Oh, no, but Kwame, excuse me, say, when I was a teacher, in fact, anytime there's something like this, to be frank with you, up to date. Kwame, maybe sometimes people have to take your cameras. I don't know how you can do it. Teachers, up to date, borrow money. Oh, before the month end.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
That one is your salary is all the everybody. We all borrow to survive. That's yes. one way or the other.
Exactly.
But given the current economic situation, and we cannot be oblivious to the current economic situation in which we find ourselves.
No, let's be calm. Yeah. And I'm saying that when COVID came, in the midst of COVID, the economy looked far worse than it is today.
Yeah.
Are you getting me? Mm-hmm. And yet, the then government, that's Nana Akufo-Addo, found space to increase the salaries of public sector workers.
Yeah, but
is that not it? Yeah. Just to cushion them against the difficulties.
The argument is that
and even today, the outlook of the economy is somehow better than even that time. So what stops you from also, showing that human face?
You had 8 years. I think the agitations have gone on for a long time.
If you say
the government then decides to sit with them. Government agrees that it's going to bring them
told you that
and the government does it. But that's it, very painfully. It was a painstaking decision that government took. The government really,
then maybe all this while you are not getting me. I am saying that I have mentioned the figures to you, and you can see that by all indications. The figures that I have mentioned are far better than the figures that John Dramani Mahama government handed over to us. And yet, we were able to increase public sector workers' salary far better than what he's doing right now. And I've also told you, with the Bani proverb, that the beginning has already justified the end. Are you getting me? I don't know whether you've been involved in race before. when the gun is shot, the way one will start will tell you where he will end. We don't need to be told that, no, to frank with you, Kwame, 10%. I want you to go through the archives and then, no, I think, was it 10% or how much did it? 10%.
This increment?
Yes,
10%.
10%. The last time a government increased public's listen, what do you call it, sector workers listen at such a rate, minimal rate. This immediate government, that's Nana Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia's government. Look, I mean, go and check the records. So tell me, where are we going as we speak today?
And we are the same. It's the same argument you're advancing. Somebody is asking a very important question. I just want to bring that to your attention. Maybe you can also.
Okay.
That's why I didn't want to interject in the beginning so that you state your facts.
Okay.
Good morning, please. The MPP should not forget that when the base pay was 23%, base pay 23% was increased in 2024 and subsequently 2% in June. How much was the increment in electricity tariff and fuel? So they want to know. They want to know that what we are talking about the base pay at the time, 23% and then subsequently 2%. Person wants to know how much was electricity, how much was fuel, the tariffs and things like that, how much was inflation and all of that.
Of course,
because you see, it must be commensurate.
Let's come. When we talk of electricity, this current government just opposed it with the NDC, John Dramani Mahama administrations. Electricity increment. I think John Dramani Mahama did it 1,000 times. This guy, how many times did we increase? No, please. At least you will veer off to a particular area. You have your. I don't want to interject. You are free to interject. No. Of course, I think it gives you the space to come out with the figures, because right now I'm on sports, so I cannot even go on the phone to even bring out the figures and the rest. So it gives you the opportunity when you come speak to the figures and then let everybody know that this is it. And I am telling you on authority that MPP government was able to keep electricity tariff as low as the consumers can contain, as compared to John Dramani Mahama's government from 2013 to 2016. In fact, the number of times that they increased electricity tariff, I mean, it is there. Just go and check, all of you, and then tell me whether I'm lying or I'm speaking the truth. Cannot be compared to that of President Akufo-Addo's government. Quite apart from that, he was talking about even the inflation rate that we're talking about. Inflation rate, if you look at it, it was a sharp careful. Yeah. It was just a sharp one. It just went to 54. Is that not it? And then, of course, came to 23. Is that not it? But before then, what was the inflation as compared to the time that we took over? Before the Russia, Ukraine, and then COVID-19, what was the rate of inflation? We were in single digit. We were in single digit.
There are other indicators which determines the performance or otherwise of a country's economy. I mean, you've mentioned inflation and all of that, but also the issue of the forex.
I think I mentioned that is it.
Of course. Forex, but also the exchange rate and all of that. They are all indicators of whether or not the economy is performing well. I mean, you took it from when? Four cities?
And in all my submission, I made it very clear that even with the presence of COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war, because that is where everything went wrong. And it was not, Ghana was not in isolation. It was a global decision. And I'm saying that if you want to be fair, of course, in economics, they'll say that all things being equal. So if you want to compare Nana Akufo-Addo's government, the performance in the economy, to that of John Dramani Mahama's government, took Nana Akufo-Addo this performance from 2017 to 2019. How are you getting me? I mean, which was even close to just a 10.
Your own party, some of your party people have indicated that the smooth sailing of your administration from 2017 was as a result of some investments which were made by the previous administration. Indeed, Your party, I've forgotten his name, a former member of parliament, who was on some interview spree, is on record to have indicated that regardless of the impact of COVID-19, your administration also mismanaged the economy, which is why the economy is not on a proper footing.
If you say that, that is the opinion of that person. And I didn't have the opportunity to listen to him, to see the kind of, what do you call it, the factors.
Producer should pull the video.
That he brought into view. How do I get him?
Yes, sir.
But having said that,
yes, sir.
What I am saying is that, as we speak today, if we are comparing the previous government's performance to this current government, because for now I don't think I'll be that.
What metrics are you using? What metrics are okay? I've seen the metrics. You mentioned the metrics.
All the economic indicators. Is that not it? I'm using all the economic indicators.
But also we spoke about fuel. I'm sorry, if you can proceed.
No, you come in.
Because we're talking about fuel, and somebody made reference to when we increase it from 23% and subsequently 2%. We are looking at electricity tariff, we're looking at fuel and things like that. It is on record that in 2017 you increased fuel. In 2018 you did same, 2019 you did, 2020 you did, 2021 you did, 2022 you did. So even if you increased the base pay by about 23% and subsequently 2%, it does not still equal the number of times that you increased,
yes,
tariffs. And therefore it was justified that you had to increase.
You see, when you talk, in fact, I have been in this country since 1992, and I stand to be corrected. I cannot remember a government who ever decreased fuel prices.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But you know that it has corresponding effect.
No, I understand.
For instance, how much we pay when we bought potros, how much we pay, and how much we buy tomato, and all that has corresponding effect.
Yes, we need to be fair to ourselves.
So if you increase it by 23%, you have not done the Ghanaian people any favor.
It's not just an increment.
Yes, sir.
But look at the rate at which. The rate, in fact, the increment has always been very minimal.
But 2 to 3%.
And let me count.
2017, 2 to 3%. 2018, 5 to 10%. 2019, 2 to 5%. 2020, 1 to 3%. 2021, 5 to 10%. 2022, 10 to 15%. So when you put all the percentages together, it surpasses the 23% increment that you give.
You can see that all the increment that we're doing, none of them crossed 10. And even not up to 10%. It wasn't even up to 10%, but just the range that we're giving. How do I get me? Except 2022.
Yes.
And you also agree with me, 2022, that was where the economy, even the inflation recent went up to 54%.
Yes.
How do I get me? So if you understand economics very well, there was no any other reason that we can do to sustain the economy.
But in 2022 there was no COVID-19.
But let's tell
there was no COVID.
No, but for the effects of COVID-19.
Yes, but
so, no. Yeah. Let me come. When you have a lateral road, how do I get me? And a car approaches and move, the car will be long gone, but there will still be dust. Is that not it? Created by that particular car. I don't know where you're getting me. So the effect of COVID-19, even as we speak today, some countries are still suffering from it. And Ghana is not is of no exception to those who are suffering that I'm talking about. Quite apart from that, we are discussing economics. And I even put it that economists, what they say is that anytime you are going to compare two activities in economics, you must go by that economic principles, that all things being equal. How are you getting me? And I am saying that even with this comparison that we are even doing, in fact, COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war is even part of it. As compared to John Dramani Mahama's government 2013 up to 2016, what happened? What happened? Just tell me a major crisis that happened that moved the economy. And even as we were handing over in 2004 to John Dramani Mahama, our economy still looked better than that of John Dramani Mahama's economy.
Because it was unprecedented for us to see inflation rise to 54.1%, largely attributed to currency depreciation, which is one of them. Food prices, we have fuel prices, you have monetary policy, and all of that, which led the Bank of Ghana to even, if you recall, print money which was not approved by the necessary state institutions, and all of that. We didn't have prior approval and all of that. So So I'm just trying to simply say that because you are trying to pull parity with the performance of MPP with that of the
Exactly.
NDC.
Exactly.
And I'm saying that never in the history of this country have we seen inflation rise to 54%. Never.
And let me tell you too.
Yeah.
Never in this country,
Yeah.
ever since I was born,
Yeah.
that we've ever seen this country come to a halt. No production, no movement, nothing. For almost about 2 weeks. It has never happened in this country. No production. Government sector, private sector, everybody stay indoors.
And so that affected
No,
your,
let me
your
no,
career.
I'm just saying, no,
Yeah.
because you use the word never.
Yeah.
And I'm also, because we are dealing with economics. And economics, you deal with all these factors.
We've had global crisis. We've had
No,
Ebola.
but then-
we've had
and
all
I'm
of that.
saying
I mean,
that, yes, of course.
yes.
Global crisis,
Yeah.
like what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that it happened in a regime. And we are now using that particular regime performance to compare with another
But
regime
even at
that
that time,
never experienced those things.
no problem. But
So-
even at the
so-
time when
so-
COVID-19 was at its peak, inflation was not at 54%.
We are not
I am getting your point. You are saying that
Kwame.
we are suffering from the remnants of COVID-19.
Kwame.
But that was in, we're talking about the highest
let
in
me tell you something.
2022.
I don't know.
And clearly,
I don't know.
Yeah.
If I don't know whether you get it, you get me right, but let me try to. Sometime,
okay.
as humans, when you get injured or maybe sometime a cat,
Yeah.
I will get to me. Even the cat itself, sometime when it happens, first the flesh itself,
Yeah.
you will not see blood. You can see your flesh white.
Yes, you
for
do,
some
you do,
time.
of course.
Before you see blood.
Yes.
And sometimes you, the human being, you don't even feel the pain.
Yes.
Until for some few minutes before
Yes.
the pain will start.
Then you
coming.
notice that you are
How do I
hurt.
get me? So the effects of events, sometimes when at the time that the event itself happens, you don't get the effects. It takes time for the effect to take place. How do I get me? And sometimes the effects even last longer than the event itself. In the case of COVID-19, and I'm saying that it is not like it's happening only in Ghana, or it happened only in Accra, or it happened only in NPP headquarters, that I'll come and sit here and be saying it because people do not have benefit of what actually happened. How do I get him? It is something that is global. It is something that everybody experienced. And I'm saying that in the history of this country, not even 1983, where food was being rationed, even people who were selling food were being rationed food.
Yeah.
But in this country, government, all economic activities was brought to a halt. One, no production was going on, and yet government was paying every worker.
Yeah, because government by itself said that they didn't know how to bring back lives, but they knew how to resuscitate the economy.
You don't allow me.
Proceed. I just want to remind you of the things you said. Because if you tell me that you knew how to revive the economy,
yes,
but you didn't know how to revive human beings, then it tells me that you had the solution to the problem.
So haven't we revived the economy?
Which economy? What, inflation 54%?
We handed over 54% inflation.
What did you hand over?
Is it not 23?
You handed 23%, but after he had written to 54%, we are still suffering from the remnants of COVID-19. However, you were able to bring it down to 23%, take it up to 24%, then praise yourself for bringing it down to 23%. That's what you did.
No, let me come.
Yes, sir.
If there's anything to go by,
yes, sir.
At what rate did President Kufuor hand over inflation rate? Hand over.
We've moved on as a nation.
No, yes, of course,
definitely. 2022.
So governance is no. So you see,
all right.
you see how you are not being fair to the MPP government. No. I'm not saying me.
All right.
I'm saying that to the government because when it is NPP's side there, then we've moved on from that.
Yeah, but there are some economic decisions which were taken by President.
And I'm saying that the 54%, haven't we moved on? Are we still at 54?
I'm saying that
so
you are attributing.
No,
but you are attributing.
If you are saying that we have moved
comparing. You are comparing
yes.
the Akufo-Addo administration to that of President Mahamad's administration. We are not comparing MPP administration or President Kufuor's administration to that of Mahamad's administration. That's not what we are doing. We are comparing an economy that was handed over to you in 2017 and an economy that you are handing over in 2020. You handed over in 2025.
And I told you that with all the indicators.
Yeah.
The economy that we took over in 2017,
yes, sir,
to date, the one that we handed over is better. It's better than
Honorable Someone still insists that they performed far better, exceedingly so, than President Mahama when they took over, and so they've left.
I'm not the one saying it. I said the question.
No, that's what I'm saying. That
so give me the figures and tell me what I'm saying.
So there's food inflation, there's fuel prices, increment of fuel prices, there's currency discrepancies, there's monetary challenges, and all of that. Fiscal decisions which we're taking, we instead of ring fencing some of the monies in the consolidated bank, you remember, we did some haircutting and all of those things. All of these decisions, Sabo says, were taking in the best interest of the good people of this country, and cumulatively in terms of performance they have performed exceedingly better than John Dramani Mahama, and they still are saying that Akufo-Addo's administration should take the pride of place in the history of this country's economic performances. Do you agree, disagree? Explain to us why.
Kwame.
Yes, sir.
What is the benefit of flogging a dead horse?
Possibly the horse is not dead. So you want to flog it to see if it is dead?
It is pronounced dead. Dead. That's why I say it's a dead horse.
Yeah. Pronounced dead.
If you flog a dead horse,
yes.
To what effect?
Who determines if the
horse is a dead horse? It doesn't even feel that it's flogged. So Kwame, they are incredible. Look, Kwame, I've always said it, a lie is like pregnancy. The older it grows, the more exposed it becomes. Today, it is no accident that Ghanaians associate the MPP with lies, and it's clear. When they paraded a top-class liar as their presidential candidate, and it's clear, they have reaped the fruits of their deception. Kwame, the sweetness, the evidence of the sweetness of the pudding is not the aroma. It's in the eating. A lie. Kwame, if you say bow fruit, this bow fruit is sweet. You get the aroma. Wait until you eat it. A lie.
Yes.
He's painting that fantastic picture of the economy. Ghanaians ate it and said this is the worst economy ever in the history of our country. That is the damning verdict Ghanaians give. Kwame, before I actually do my presentation,
okay,
Sabo made some very serious misrepresentations. He said, "Oh, Ghanaians, that those they are sacking are they Burkinabes?" You should just go back to 2017 and see what the likes of Osafo Mafu, who were leading the transition team of the MPP, said. And then he openly said that they are going to sack all those people. And Kwame, to his this in less than an hour after, they started sacking people from the other. In 2017, I beg you, when we were speaking, I beg you, let me write it down. Write it down.
Mr. Sabo, if you can,
it's even gone viral.
I'll give you an opportunity to respond. So
Kwame, it's viral. Even I can tell you, Pan Africa will even have the tape. And place Osafo Mafu.
It's not Osafo Mafu saying
Osafo Mafu
took place. That's what we are.
They sack people.
We are not denying.
Okay,
They say that.
Ghanaians. He himself pronounced that the sacking was coming and prepared Ghanaians for the sacking to come. And they actually sacked thousands of Ghanaians. Kwame, in this transition, when President Mahama nominated it, they made it abundantly clear that no other decision of major substance, especially that which has financial implications on the incoming government, should be done without recourse to the team. Ally,
right?
Kwame, what did they do? You go and employ people after that period when that pronouncement was made, and you think that is legitimate? That is illegal. It was criminal. Okay, but Kwame, he's looking for statistics. So that's why my problem is that yes, there are people who say that don't go back and repeat what the MPP did. But sometimes a fool doesn't know that he's doing foolish things until you let him have a taste of his own medicine. Okay?
Yep.
So sometimes that's why some people justify that something has to be done for them to also feel and see that what you did, they can do to you and let you also feel it so that you draw some useful lessons from it. Okay? So Kwame, every statement that was made by the chief was legitimate. And if you do anything criminal, anything outside, that is bad governance. And when the chief of staff, General Debra, issued that statement, he said it was not in consonance with good government and ethical practices in government that you go behind us when we are put certain machinery in place and go behind and go and do certain silly things and expect that the government should take it. No way. But Kwame, let me give you just some bit of macroeconomic indicators to debunk what Sabo was saying before I come to the presentation. Kwame, when President Mahama was leaving office on 7th January 2017,
all right,
the total indebtedness of Ghana was 120 billion. From independence to President Mahama, 120 billion. In fact, when Nana Akufo-Addo was leaving, we could not even compare the debt, but it had gone to 876 billion. Kwame, 876 billion, or more. It's in fact, figures that are coming out even indicate that it's more than that. Kwame, just look at the quantum leap. By this government, in just 8 years, you are talking from independence to President Mahama, 120 billion. MPP alone in 8 years, took more than 800 and something billion. Kwame, don't you? I know the MPP, your tactics. You want to derail my thought. Kwame, inflation under President Mahama was 15%. Even that was even in the face of the fuel price increase that had come. Okay, Kwame, at a point like you rightly pointed out, the MPP took inflation in this country to 54%, unprecedented in the annals of our country's history. Okay, so if you take us to 54% and it falls down to 25%, you say we should clap on you. Who took us to 54% in the first place? You are comparing your own record. So don't compare your own record. Compare it with the entity, as you rightly pointed out. Okay? So look at that unprecedented level of inflation. 54% at a point. Kwame, Forex. Foreign exchange. The CD and the President Mahama was 4 CDs. In fact, some people say it's 3.8, but 4 CDs to $1. At a point, these people sent us to 70 CDs to $1. And their own allies, even at Abosokai and others, started. In fact, they threatened that if they come to the place, they will even beat them up. They didn't show up there for their campaign. They destroyed the CD and the debt. And don't forget, even the first destruction of the CD, Kwame, under the MPP, when they denominated our currency and took away 4 zeros, you remember that one?
Yep.
They rendered our money useless, and these people came and put a nail in the coffin of our CD. Okay? Kwame, fuel prices. Under President Mahama, the latest EV increase in December 2016 brought a gallon of petrol. Kwame, take note. A gallon of petrol to 14 cedis. Alright?
True.
Under the MP, before they left, at a point it went to 50 cedis a liter. Listen to the difference. What was a gallon under President Mahama was even worse under the MPP in a liter. They were selling a liter at a point for 15 Ghana cedis. A liter. Look at these people. Kwame, never in the annals of our country's history have we defaulted from debt, from the payment of our obligations, both domestic and international. Even with whatever economic challenges we had, the government serviced its debts regularly. And we never defaulted. And it was unprecedented in the annals of our country's history to hear that Ghana was not going to pay its debts. Under Nana Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia, it happened live. They ran away from paying our debts, both to the domestic people, some of which, Kwame, they were calling some haircut. They were not. They were haircuts. They cut off the heads of some of our pensioners, leading to their debts. Some of them died as a result of their inability to access their monies. So it was not haircut, it was head cut. Sabo, you cut off their heads. You did not give them haircuts. And for the haircuts, Kwame, their scalps were heads. They gave them wicked Sakura cuts. Okay? Kwame, never in the country had we experienced this yet. Even when Achampong under his 1972 revolution started it, they later on reneged and honored our debts. MPP came and started out with that infamy. Kwame, we are talking about the issue of ratings. Both Fitch, all the rating agencies, Fitch, Moody's, Standard & Poor's, they all rated under President Mahama B. They said it was B minus. You can take it B minus. B minus, we have not even come to C. We have not even come to C plus. Okay? MPP under Nana Akufo-Addo was rated junk. In fact, and then in subsequent rating, further junk. Kwame, never in the annals of our house. When they rate your economy junk, you are useless. Your economy is useless. Nobody wants to touch you. Nobody wants to come and have any business to do with you. Your economy is zero, zilch. Okay? Under their watch. Okay? Kwame, under their watch, we saw the collapse of banks. And 29 billion Ghana cedis was used to collapse banks. When the banks needed, Kwame, just 9 billion capitalization. You used 29 billion to collapse banks. Kwame, look at the effects it had on the lives of tens of thousands of Ghanaians. Okay? Never in the annals of our country, under President Mahama, the central bank was making profit yearly. Under MPP, under Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, at a point, the Bank of Ghana declared 60.8 billion. Kwame, listen, never in the annals of our country have we heard these figures. 60.8 billion Ghana cedis as debt. Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana printed 77 billion Ghana cedis to fund government's deficit. Even in an election year in 2016, Kwame, President Mahama had zero financing from the central bank. Zero financing. Take note of that. Versus a declaration, 77 billion cedis printed, a declaration of 60.8 billion loss. So Kwame, I agree with Sabo. If you take every macroeconomic indicator, the MPP comes off worse. I've just given you the macroeconomic indicators. Worse. So Kwame, I could go on and on and on. Food inflation and others, which has jumped through the window. At the time, they supposedly declared planting for food and jobs worse in the annals of our country. So Kwame, I can go on and they get worse and worse. So that's why I said, as for them, they have died in the market. You don't need to announce their demise. Kwame, I have said this, and I think Pan Africa can go back and some of your record. I said it here before the elections that my worry was not the NDC winning the elections. And on the campaign trail, I had the opportunity to even say that to His Excellency President Mahama. That I'm not worried about President Mahama, you winning the election. What I'm worried about is what you will come to find. The rot. The MPP sat on huge rots while they were in government and didn't want this to come out. So I was worried that what President Mahama will come and find and discover would be mind-boggling. Kwame, I wish I was not vindicated on this matter. Sadly, that is the case. And I say, if Pan Africa, you can play it. I have said it here. That what President Mahama will come and find will be astonishing. Will bewilder his mind. Yesterday, at the first cabinet meeting, His Excellency President Mahama said it. That the things he's come to find is mind-boggling. Some of it is criminal. And I just hope, before his administration is over, all these criminal acts of criminality will be fished out and the perpetrators will be dealt with rigorously according to the law. Kwame, one of the most important things and attributes of a leader, of a true patriotic vision-led leader, is to exhibit the attributes of candor, truth, honesty. You should be able to look your people in the eye and treat them with candor, with truth, and with honesty. That is what President Mahama did with the meeting with his labor leaders. And Kwame, take due cognizance of the fact that we in the NDC are a social democratic party. We are allies with the working people of this country. And so we are the first to empathize and sympathize with them. But Kwame, the government say that you throw the cordial that is in your hand, not the one that is still on the tree in the bush. Kwame, based on the assessment that the president has done and the directives he's giving to his finance minister, who has done such a very competent job that he's come out with the true state. And Kwame, the president is going to deliver the State of the Nation address. I will not preempt what he will say. More importantly, I'm not even, he said, no, he knows more than what I know here. But the president will paint a true picture of what this country, the country that he has inherited from the NPP. And Ghanaians will shake their heads in disbelief about some of the things that will come out. Kwame, the rot, as has been said, you only see the true length of a frog when it is dead. And it has come out. Kwame, I have indicated to you that this is a government that has gone on reckless, irresponsible, and sometimes near criminal borrowing. Kwame, the borrowing was not only motivated by the needs of the country. Kano Forata went borrowing because his company data bank was going to make money. Sabo, if you are not aware, you sitting here, even when they had to give you some small disposition for you to go and look after yourself and your family, and they consign you to the doldrums. Kano Forata's company was borrowing money and making money. Anytime Ghana went to borrow $1, Kano Forata was going to take a percentage of the dollar. So Data Bank, which is his company, and I heard from various periods that he had left it in the house of trade. He was still the owner. He drew benefits that came from Data Bank. Kwame. So because of that, he had an insatiable appetite for borrowing. Because the more he borrowed, the more his company would make profit. Not only Data Bank, Enterprise Insurance was made to insure the loans. Enterprise Insurance is Kano Forata. Have you seen how wicked, insensitive, and greedy your people were? This is what has happened. And the economy is off. Like Bill Clinton said in the US, the economy gone stupid. The economy gone stupid. Okay? So, Kwame, this, in the face of this difficulty, Nana Akufo-Addo, go and read the preface to the 2016 manifesto of the NPP, your own manifesto. When Nana Akufo-Addo said there's hardship in the country, and that when he comes, he was going to reflect a government of austerity and sacrifice. Kwame, Nana Akufo-Addo, on assumption of power, forgot about this austerity and sacrifice he had espoused, and inflicted us with the most atrocious government in the history of the country. In fact, I would say in the history of the world. Kwame, if you can show me anywhere in the world where a president appoints 127 ministers, which country can you show me? Sabo, can you show me in a country?
Ghana.
Yes, Ghana. Nana Akufo-Addo. Apart from Nana Akufo-Addo, who else can equal that on enviable record? 127 ministers. Kwame. And the worst aspect of that, this 127 ministers, this is their output. What I just mentioned to you. The complete and near total destruction of our economy. 127 ministers, that is their output.
Honorable, land for me.
Kwame. Okay?
Land for me.
Kwame, look at the issues of corruption. There were people who were saying that even some of the people, they were taking the money and that other things up front. They were not even waiting for some of the transactions to go. If you can say, Masa Tia we Ansana will call. My chief, forgive me. Kwame, I'm not an Ashanti man. I'm a Savannah product. Okay? Corruption. From day one, from the Ken Bond and others, Kwame, we can't come. If we want to sit in this studio and count corruption and the Nana Akufo-Addo, we will not live here. The president never investigated one. You said that he has asked the agency to investigate. There was nothing to investigate. They didn't investigate.
How did you come to the conclusion that these are acts of corruption? How have you come to that conclusion, Honorable?
Correct.
It's not been determined by anybody.
Correct.
Anybody. Correct. That these people have indeed.
Correct.
You know,
if a matured person and you see a ripe corn, you can tell it by its look. You can tell a ripe corn by its look.
You just go around saying that people are corrupt.
Kwame,
for just saying.
It's not just for saying.
Because under President Mahama, people they allege that some people were corrupt.
Kwame,
and when they were given the
President Mahama has demonstrable evidence of taking action wherever it mattered. Even to the point that some of us even thought President Mahama went overboard. When somebody just dreamed of making $1 million, a dream. But the President Mahama thought that the dream was even too much.
Yeah, but you
should not be given time to actualize the dream. And he ousted the president.
You remember the Jamefe committee that was set up in relation to was it the World Cup? where the sports minister at the time, Efri Ankra, was before the committee. You know, all this. So clearly,
that's why I'm telling you that when President Mahama hears any other time, he will make sure that action is taken.
But was action
it
taken? It
never happened at the Nana Akufo-Addo.
Was action taken in relation to Efri Ankra?
Kwame, that's why I'm saying that based on the evidence that is accrued from that committee, President Mahama took action.
So based on the
there was no way. There was no way, Kwame. I am saying that if you want to even make the slightest attempt to even compare, the MPP pales into insignificance. They will not even make an attempt to set up a committee to investigate. And I've given you evidence that President Mahama has not only asked for it, he has taken action, and some have even been punished. Some have gone to jail under him. Alai, you know that. Kwame, don't you? You know that. So he has acted on allegations of corruption. Let Nana Akufo-Addo show us one example, not a scintilla. Numerous corruption, including by himself. Kwame, let me tell you, the MPP had made Ameri one of their campaign teams in 2016. Alai.
Yeah.
When he came, they sent the energy minister Jaku, and they went to on the hunt for evidence. Came back and realized that it was a wild goose chase. The president himself gave executive approval. Come and listen to this. President Nana Akufo-Addo gave executive approval.
Yeah.
With the Ameri Novation.
Okay.
And increase it from 510 he said was too much under NDC to 1.3 billion. What could be more of an act of corruption from a president than saying that 510 was vitiated by corruption, you hike it to 1.3 billion.
In conclusion, Honorable, because of time.
All these other things.
Yeah.
Look at the environment. A government indulging in clear acts of criminality. You heard the MPP say what? Party Hiasika. You heard that. This one was not said by an MPP person. This was Professor Frimpong Boating, a leading member of the MPP and a minister under Nana Akufo-Addo.
In conclusion, Honorable.
Kwame,
in conclusion. No, because of time.
Yes.
Dr. Ramsey has also speak.
So take all those other things that you are talking about. Kwame, just listen to just this week, Honorable Jinapo, Minister for Energy, Kwame, uncovered the stinking rot at the ECG. Even they have not yet gone anywhere. And that's why I'm saying that this government must make sure.
All right.
Under no circumstance should anybody come talking about we are all Ghanaians, leave these matters and others. Kwame, it is important. I'm just indicating this.
Please.
That you know that ECG that they used to take about 1.5 billion monthly. Kwame, out of the 1.5 billion, they first take 500 million and put it aside. And for the cash water for mechanism, which the 1 billion was even supposed to go, the entire 1 billion even didn't go into it.
Okay. So these are all matters.
So what happened to this? A container government has bought.
I know.
$300,000 per container. They failed to clear this.
Yes.
They turn around, give it to somebody to clear.
Yeah.
At 100,000, they sell it to at 100,000 Ghana cedis. The person clears, sells it back to government at $300,000. This is criminality. This is what President Mahama is saying. Right. So when he said he didn't know what the president has graphic evidence that the level of criminality is. And I just want to hope.
Thank you,
Kwame, that people will not come talking to the president that Mr. President, we all need to move together as one nation. So on the basis of that, stop that.
Thank you very much.
And Kwame, the good people of this country gave us the overwhelming mandate. Kwame, the good people of this country gave us that overwhelming mandate for us to get to accountability.
Thank you very much.
So that accountability and that no score should be sacrificed.
Thank you.
Kwame, this one you have completed mine.
I'm giving you more than some. Let me come to Dr. Ramsey. So I only ask you. So this government on corruption. This government they should the last thing they should do is to even show their faces. I wanted the data. They should hide their faces. Okay. President Mahama is just barely 2 months. But he didn't tell
he's doing
already. Honorable.
Through the finance minister, we have already paid some of the pensioners they sent to their debts.
All right, thank you.
Paid money.
Yes.
We set up a sinking fund.
Yes.
The sinking fund they came to destroy has now been set up again.
There should be some form of review of the whole wage architecture or structure in this country, and how best we are able to support workers in accordance to our labor laws and enforce them stringently so that they can be able to get value for what they give out in terms of their work input. Kwame, I mean, raising the wage from 18.15 Ghana cedis to 19.97 Ghana cedis is highly insignificant compared to the current inflation in this country. The cost of living in Ghana, Kwame, I know you know very well, is quite high. It's very expensive. And in our sub-region, we are one of the most expensive places to live and even do business. And so I think that, of course, coming from the Eswa Akufo-Addo regime, my brother Sabo did reiterate on some certain issues that I think are untrue. He raised certain facts that are untrue, and I would set the record straight.
Okay, what's your record?
He made mention of the MPP reviving this economy. I mean, the economy is still in abyss. Our economy today is still in abyss. The economy is still struggling and suffering from the Baumia syndrome. I call it the Baumia syndrome. Kwame, if you look at the cost of energy, if you compare the Mahama regime, the cost of electricity under the Mahama regime, and you can look at the Ghana energy statistical data, right, from the Energy Commission, 2024, that's my reference. The average cost of electricity under the NDC regime was $0.88 per kilowatt hour. If you compare that of the MPP, it's about $0.94 per kilowatt hour, and I'm even projecting it to be over $1. So clearly there's a big disparity between the cost of electricity under the then Mahama 1 regime, Atameo's Mahama 1 regime, and then the Baumia Akufo-Addo regime. But again, it goes to tell you that we have not still learnt, and we are still circling around the same issues and problems. If you look at the energy sector, investing over $50 billion, right, in a uranium enriching plant. So think of it too. Saudi Arabia exports a lot of crude oil. Now they are moving towards investing into the future of the world's energy solution, which would not release any carbon dioxide and degrade our environment. And this is what we want to see this current administration charter. Kwame, in regards to the economy, Alhaji Sabo should be aware that the current economic predicaments that we face in Ghana is as a result of the mismanagement of our economy by the Eswa Akufo-Addo Baumia regime. And I'll refer him to his own constitution, the reason why the MPP was formed. If you look at Article 2 of the MPP constitution, the aims and objectives of why the party was formed, Section 13, it says that to manage the economy of the country with efficiency and prudence, guided by the consideration of the national interest. The MPP did not manage its economy prudently and did not have the national interest at heart. Alhaji ABF Hussaini referred to our debt to GDP ratio. Currently, according to the IMF, Ghana's debt to GDP ratio is about 84%. What the figure they presented to Parliament is inaccurate. And I'm surprised why some MPs didn't challenge the finance minister or raise issues of contempt or issues of perjury. I'll say perjury, because he lied on oath. Technically, the debt to GDP ratio of Ghana is even more than 84%. But because of the domestic debt HL program, it was reduced to 84%. I have projected it to be over 100% because the debt owned by SOEs has not been added into our debt basket. And so when you are calculating the collective debt owned by the country, you have to also include that of the SOEs, because the SOEs are public polities. Now, if you look at the issue of the Bank of Ghana and issues of inflation, why inflation rose to 54%. Kwame, under our Public Financial Management Act, anytime the central bank is supposed to print money, it has to go through Parliament for approval.
Absolutely.
If you look at paragraph 8 of the IMF staff report, the Bank of Ghana in 2022 printed 45 billion Ghana cedis without prior parliamentary approval, and which culminated into 7.2% of our GDP. But they rather pawned more money illegally. And most of these monies were used to finance party activities and went into the pockets of people. That today, if you look at our debt, it's over 720 billion Ghana cedis. Yes, so this is a government that borrowed more than any other government in the history of Ghana, but nothing to show for. I'll use the Agenda 111 as a classical example. President Akufo-Addo promised us that within 18 months, he is going to finish 111 hospitals.
Yep.
Right? But today, they cannot even brag of 5 hospitals completed under the Agenda 111 project.
You don't even know what is happening.
5. Kwame, you promised us 111. Have you finished 5 or 10?
Hospitals. You're not.
How can you commission a hospital that cannot be operational? What is the essence of commissioning a hospital?
No, he's a medical doctor. So he has
my brother. Sabo, he may know what. Sabo, when you were speaking, I was quiet. Sabo, when you were speaking, I was quiet. Respectfully. You see, when you were speaking, I was quiet. Respectfully. No, respectfully. You see, I disagreed with some of the things you.
Okay, let me finish and I'll let you come.
Some of the things.
I'll give you the last straw. I'll give you the last straw. I'll give you the last straw.
When you are speaking the truth, they heckle. No. No.
It's too late.
No, Sabo. Let me speak the truth. You see, the MPP people, when you speak truth, they don't want you to speak the truth. I mean, which face? Oh, I have to give it to you to wash your face. At least we are even lucky that we are out of power. Otherwise, in the next future, we'll not even have water like this to drink in this country due to Galamsey. Council, you know, look, if you look at all these issues in regards to the central bank, the illegalities that happen in the central bank, right? That's Ken Ofori-Atta, because the finance minister has oversight over the central bank. And Ken Ofori-Atta sat down there, and I even hear it's alleged that one company that is owned by the brother of the president has been contracted with printing of money. I'm yet to get the facts well. I don't know if Council, you've heard of that as well. There's a company that is owned by the president's brother that also has been contracted to print our money. I'm yet to get it's alleged.
It's alleged.
It's alleged. And so, Council, if you look at all these issues we're talking about, right? I want President Mahama to look at how he can support, build an enterprise economy in Ghana. Policies in the form of the reduction of indirect taxes, because now, I mean, government makes in a lot of revenue from indirect taxes because it's hard to tax direct taxes because of how largely the informal sector dominates our economy. Our economy is largely dominated by the informal sector. And so how are you going to tax the informal sector if you don't have the right structures in place and if they are not working around that framework, right? And so, Council, we want to see better wages in Ghana. I believe that you don't have to necessarily work for the government to be able to survive. We should create an enabling environment where the banks would reduce their interest rate to a single-digit number, so that when you're going to borrow money, you borrow at one, supporting enterprises to increase their revenue, to grow. And when enterprises grow, right, government will rake in revenue in this regard. And so we want to see our workers paid well. And we want to see also the skills of our workers is also very important, because then if you are more skilled, you get more. You understand? And so we want to see some reforms in the TVET sector. We want to see it open, and we want to see more TVET centers across the country, so that there will be some form of regional balance in terms of access to education. And I believe that if that is done, the wisdom of the GTP is clear on this. And I believe that if the NDC government would tap into the wisdom of the GTP, I'm sure Ghana would rise again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I promised, my time is up, but I promised Sabo I was going to give him some few minutes to... Yeah, so let me give you some few minutes to yeah.
That one, let me just make it very snappy.
Okay, please do. No, you can't. Respectfully.
Don't mind him. After here, I'm going to sell him. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
When I was speaking, in fact, I mentioned certain figures and other things. So they were challenging me. So I was actually patiently waiting for them to come out with the figures that they have. But they've not been able to provide any figure. That's one. Mm-hmm. And then two, with the electricity listen that he was also talking about that I lied and the rest. I thought he would have come out with figures again to prove me wrong. Quite apart from that, quite apart from that, he did not be, he was not able to compare NPP. He was not able to compare NPP, NDC, and then tell me that, in fact, NDC is doing better, or NDC did better in the tariff increment than NPP. And I was actually saying that we did not like, in fact, NDC, 2013 up to 2016, almost every year there was an increment. But NPP, throughout the 8 years, 3 times that we have increased electricity tariff. Only 3 times. That we have increased electricity. Well, you see it again. But yet you had all the time. You could not prove me wrong.
I prove you.
No, let me come. Let me come. Let me come. No, yes. But that's not energy. You should have gone for their figures and tell me. Simple as that. You should have gone for their figures and tell me. You refer me.
I think we had consensus that we're not going to.
Agenda 111.
Yeah.
At least if I'm not aware of anything, I know of 40.
Yeah.
That have been commissioned.
We're told 40.
Yes, yeah. 40 that have been commissioned.
40.
Thank you. So you know that I don't like Kwame. Just this one, like I said.